Ever wondered if your biggest betrayal could actually be part of a bigger, incredible plan? It sounds crazy, right? But the story of Joseph, a young man from the book of Genesis, shows us exactly how something so painful can be transformed into something powerful. This isn't just an ancient tale. It's a story about jealousy, family drama, impossible dreams, and a hidden purpose that changes everything. Joseph was the second youngest of 12 brothers, but he was his father Jacob's absolute favorite, and Jacob wasn't subtle about it. He gave Joseph a stunning, multicolored coat, a gift that screamed, "You're special." As you can imagine, this didn't go over well with his older brothers. They were already simmering with jealousy, and this fancy coat was like fuel on the fire. To make matters worse, Joseph started having these incredible dreams. In one dream, he saw his brothers' sheaves of wheat bowing down to his sheaf. In another, he saw the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. Now, Joseph, being young and maybe a little naive, didn't keep these dreams to himself. He shared them with his family. His brothers heard this and thought, "Who does this kid think he is? First, the coat. Now he thinks we're all going to bow to him." Their resentment boiled over into pure hatred. They couldn't even speak a kind word to him anymore. One day, their father Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, who were grazing the family's flocks miles away. When the brothers saw him coming from a distance, they saw their chance. "Here comes the dreamer," they sneered. Their hatred had grown so dark that they started plotting to kill him. "Let us throw him into one of these cisterns and tell our father a wild animal got him," they schemed. But Reuben, the oldest brother, had a flicker of conscience. He didn't want Joseph's blood on their hands. He suggested a slightly less final plan. "Let us just throw him into this empty pit in the wilderness. But don't harm him." He secretly planned to come back later and rescue Joseph. So, when Joseph arrived, they ripped that beautiful coat off him and threw him into a dry, empty well. Then, as they sat down to eat, they saw a caravan of traders heading toward Egypt. It was Judah, another brother, who had a chillingly practical idea. "What do we gain if we kill our brother and hide it?" he said. "Let's sell him to these traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." It was a cold, calculated decision. They decided that getting rid of him and making a profit was better than murder. So they pulled Joseph out of the pit. This terrified young man, betrayed by his own family, was sold for 20 shekels of silver. 20 pieces of silver, the price of a slave. His brothers then took his precious coat, dipped it in goat's blood, and brought it back to their father. Jacob saw the bloody, torn coat and was completely devastated, believing his beloved son was dead. He mourned for years, inconsolable. Meanwhile, Joseph was taken down to Egypt, a foreign land where he knew no one and had nothing. He was sold again, this time to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's high-ranking officials, the captain of the guard. It's hard to imagine the fear and loneliness Joseph must have felt, stripped of his family, his home, and his freedom. It looked like the end of his story. His dreams seemed like a cruel joke. But this is where the story takes a turn you wouldn't expect. The Bible says, "The Lord was with Joseph." Even in the darkest of circumstances, as a slave in a foreign land, Joseph wasn't truly alone. And because God was with him, he prospered. Potiphar saw that everything Joseph touched succeeded. He was diligent, trustworthy, and had an incredible ability to manage things well. Potiphar was so impressed that he put Joseph in charge of his entire household, from a betrayed brother in a pit to the head manager of a powerful Egyptian state. It was a remarkable rise. But Joseph's journey was far from over. His character and his faith would be tested again and again. Potiphar's wife took notice of the handsome and capable young man. She tried to seduce him day after day. Joseph consistently refused her. He told her, "My master has entrusted me with everything in his house. How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" His integrity was unshakable. One day, she cornered him when no one else was around and grabbed his cloak. Joseph fled, leaving his cloak in her hand. Humiliated and furious, she used the cloak as false evidence, accusing Joseph of attacking her. Potiphar, enraged, threw Joseph into prison, back in a dark place. From the pit to Potiphar's house, and now to a dungeon. It seemed like every time things started to look up, he was thrown back down, and this time for doing the right thing. It would have been so easy for him to become bitter, to lose faith and curse the God who allowed this to happen. But even in prison, the Lord was with Joseph. The warden saw the same exceptional quality in him that Potiphar had seen. Soon, Joseph was put in charge of all the other prisoners. It was in that prison that his gift for interpreting dreams reappeared. 2 of Pharaoh's officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, were imprisoned with him. They both had troubling dreams, and Joseph, through God's wisdom, interpreted them correctly. The baker was executed, and the cupbearer was restored to his position, just as Joseph had predicted. Joseph asked the cupbearer, "When you get out, please remember me and mention me to Pharaoh." But once he was free, the cupbearer forgot all about the young Hebrew who had helped him. 2 more years passed. 2 more years of waiting in a dungeon. Then Pharaoh himself had 2 disturbing dreams that no one in his kingdom could interpret. He dreamed of 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 skinny cows, and 7 healthy heads of grain being devoured by 7 thin heads. Finally, the cupbearer remembered. "I remember my faults today," he said to Pharaoh, and told him about Joseph. Joseph was rushed from the prison, cleaned up, and brought before the most powerful man in the world. Pharaoh told him the dreams, and Joseph was clear, "I cannot do it. But God will give Pharaoh the answer." He explained that the dreams were a message from God. There would be 7 years of incredible abundance in Egypt, followed by 7 years of devastating famine that would ravage the land. He didn't just interpret the dream. He gave Pharaoh a plan. He advised him to appoint a wise and discerning man to collect and store grain during the plentiful years to prepare for the famine. Pharaoh was blown away. He looked at his officials and said, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Pharaoh didn't just take the advice. He appointed Joseph to be that man. He made Joseph the 2nd most powerful man in all of Egypt. He gave him his signet ring, fine clothes, and a gold chain. The boy who was sold into slavery for 20 shekels of silver was now the Prime Minister of Egypt, in charge of saving an entire nation. Just as Joseph predicted, 7 years of abundance came, and he masterfully organized the storage of massive amounts of grain. Then, the famine hit, not just in Egypt, but across the whole region, including the land of Canaan where his family lived. Jacob, hearing there was grain in Egypt, sent his sons all, except his youngest, Benjamin, to buy food. And so, the brothers who had sold Joseph into slavery years ago now found themselves bowing down before him, begging for food. They had no idea who he was. Their younger brother, whom they left for dead, was now the powerful Egyptian governor they were pleading with. The dream had come true. Joseph recognized them immediately. He tested them to see if they had changed, if they had any remorse for what they had done. After a series of dramatic encounters, where he framed them and demanded they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, to him, their guilt finally poured out. Judah, the very one who suggested selling him, offered himself as a slave in Benjamin's place to spare their father more pain. Seeing their changed hearts, Joseph could no longer contain himself. He sent all the Egyptians out of the room and, weeping, he revealed his identity. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" His brothers were terrified, speechless. They thought he would surely take his revenge. But what Joseph said next is one of the most powerful statements in the entire Bible. He told them, "Do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." He said it again, "So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God." Think about that. Joseph looked at the worst betrayal imaginable, being sold into slavery by his own brothers, saw God's hand in it. He saw a divine plan of rescue and redemption. Their evil act was turned by God into the means of salvation for their entire family and countless others. The story of Joseph is a powerful reminder that even when people mean things for evil, God can use those very things for good. It doesn't excuse the sin or erase the pain, but it shows that our stories are part of a much bigger narrative, one that God is weaving together for His ultimate purpose. Joseph's life shows us that forgiveness is possible, that reconciliation can happen, and that no pit is too deep for God's grace to reach. His journey from the pit to the palace wasn't just his story. It was a foreshadowing of a greater salvation to come. Thanks for watching. If this story encouraged you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores these incredible, timeless truths. See you in the next video.